Hello and welcome. I'm Natalie. Let's talk about money. So today we just kind of have to buckle up and talk about the potential crash that could happen. So if you've been following the markets at all, you know that something kind of big is probably coming, most likely. And today we're just going to briefly talk about the 2025 crash that could be happening and that people are kind of mumbling about and talking about and figuring out what's going to happen. So basically we'll talk about, what's causing it, how bad it could get, what we can do, but most importantly, how you can actually prepare. So let's go ahead and get into it. So first, we're going to talk about the warning signs. So we've got our inflation that's running like, I don't know, hotter than expected for sure. And inflation has been a problem for a while now. And as Americans, we kind of just have to continue on and move forward. So we've got our inflation, we've got the interest rates that are climbing, and we've got the tech stocks that are, basically in a free fall at this point. And then there's conflicts all over the world that are kind of adding fuel to the fire. And then we have our president who is maybe adding just a little bit more fuel, creating some bigger concerns for Americans. There's wars all over the place all the time, and we perhaps don't want to get involved at this point in our lives. But, we got to do what we got to do to stay safe. So, all of this has basically happened before. So this kind of should sound familiar. And that's because we have seen this before, and it typically doesn't end well. I mean, I'm not going to say it's going to end. There's nothing that's ending, but it's can be a problem. There can be problems ahead, right? And so these are things we want to prepare for, be aware of, and just, be prepared. That's the biggest thing about any kind of crash or recession or problem, is that you want to be prepared. Okay? So please take a moment and hit the like button and go ahead and subscribe. And when you subscribe, you should hit the bell so you know when the next video comes out. Let's go ahead and get back to what we're talking about. So you probably remember the 2008 crash that happened. And then there was the 2020 pandemic market collapse. And, basically every financial disaster starts with experts basically downplaying the risks. Like, oh, it's okay, everything's okay, until it's too late. And so what I want everyone to know right away is that you shouldn't be dumping all of your stocks and mutual funds and ETFs and index funds and all the things. Don't do that. Don't do that. If you're a day trader, you've got other rules to follow because you're busy doing something else. But if you're a long-term investor, don't be dropping stuff just because some media person told you, this stock is going to fail. That's nonsense. That's not a good plan. You're in it for the long term if you're investing. You're in it for the long term, 10, 20, 30 years from now. So don't worry about dropping any stocks. That's not going to help the market. It's not going to help you. If you sell at a loss, you're not helping yourself. You're not. So what's kind of the catalyst for 2025? Well, let's go ahead and take a look. So right now they're kind of saying it's kind of the perfect storm that's forming. And that's because the Fed has its, aggressive rate hikes, and that has slowed down the economy. But on the other hand, inflation is still kind of sticky. So the two are not playing nicely together. And so that's one problem. And then the tech giants are seeing major layoffs and stock prices that are just crashing, tumbling. I wouldn't even say crashing because they have definitely dropped. It depends on obviously what stocks you're in. But obviously the stocks have dropped. And then that's kind of basically signaling a shift in consumer or investor confidence. So when investors lose their confidence, they sell out, and then the stocks don't go back up because no one is getting back in and buying. So when you see these sell-offs, then that's a time actually to get in at the low price and build your portfolio back up. And then we have the real estate bubble. So is it on the verge of popping? We don't know. Home prices are kind of stalling, and mortgage rates are kind of squeezing buyers because the mortgage rates are too high and people aren't able to afford the payments that these mortgage companies want customers to pay or consumers to pay. And so it's kind of, tightening up the mortgage industry a little bit. And then, of course, don't forget the global economy. So, of course, there's wars all over the place, and now our country is now picking fights with other countries. Mexico, Canada, China, Europe. There's even some problems over in Europe. So there's there's stuff happening out here, and China's slowdown and tensions are kind of adding on even more uncertainty in the markets. So basically, how bad can this get? Best case scenario, it's just a mild recession like we've seen multiple times before, and like what people are saying has happened over the course of the last 4 or 5 years, okay? Worst case scenario, we're looking at a multi-year downturn, major job losses, and a stock market wipeout. Now, I don't know that a wipeout is a thing, but it could be, we could see some losses here. We could definitely see some losses. So some analysts are already calling it the Great Correction, because when the stock market corrects itself, the stocks go down, basically the market corrects itself, gets right again, and then it comes back up. So that's basically what is going to happen. And so some experts are saying that we could see a 30 to 50% drop in major indices, and the bond market is basically flashing recession signs that we haven't seen since the dot-com bust, which was back when in, what was that, 2000 or something like that? So, basically just people need to be prepared. That's what experts are saying, is that people just need to be prepared, which is understandable. You should always be prepared no matter what. So how are we as regular consumers who aren't experts at any of this, how do we move forward? How do we survive, basically? So here are kind of 5 things that I would say are probably useful, probably will help us get through the troubled times, okay? So first is avoid and get rid of debt. Step 1. That's always step 1. Any problem you have, get rid of debt. It'll be great. That's a joke, but getting out of debt will help you so that you don't have a bunch of bills that you have to pay if you were to lose your job, or if you were to lose some of your income, or if, the markets crash and your retirement goes down. Not having debt allows you more money in your pocket to do whatever it is you need to do with it. Okay, so keep that in mind. So then after getting out of debt and staying out of debt, never using debt, then we should diversify your investments. So you shouldn't have all of your investments focused on on tech stocks. You shouldn't have all of your stocks, if you do individual stocks, you shouldn't have all of it in Apple, or all of it in Tesla, or all of it in Nvidia. You shouldn't do that. You can do that if you're just kind of testing something out, testing a little bit here, a little bit there. That's great. That's fun. But don't count on that to be your retirement in any way. So basically, rethinking your strategy at this time would be a good plan. Meet with your financial advisor and ask, what is the best way to make it through this downtime, and what changes do I need to make to ensure that I either don't lose any money, don't lose a lot of money, or actually make money during this recession that we probably are going to have. Okay. Now, I recommend having some sort of liquid assets like cash. Cash is the most liquid you can get because it's actual cash. But also, if you're into metals at all, I'm kind of half and half on that. So my late husband believed in gold and silver, and always having gold and silver. And so we have gold and silver, and it burned in the fire. So it melted. So I've got melted blocks, basically, of gold and silver coins. So having gold and silver is probably a good thing, because if the dollar completely crashes, you at least have gold, which is, tradable in other areas, in other countries. So having gold can help. So precious metals, if you're not a metal person, then don't do it. That would be stupid. But if you are, think about maybe increasing how much you have so that you're setting yourself up for success in the future. Our goal is our future. Our goal is not today or tomorrow. Our goal is our future. What's going to happen in the future? Okay. And then we can also focus on investing in recession-proof assets. So, think about those consumer staples and utilities and defensive stocks. There's items that people buy continuously over and over and over. Companies like, now I can't think of any. Procter and Gamble is the only one I can think of right now. But those companies that provide all of the regular items that consumers have to buy week after week, cleaning supplies and medicines, and those are the ones that I can think of right now. But those things that are consumable. So we're going to continue to buy them. Even in a deep recession, we still need to clean our homes. We still need to wash our clothes. Think about buying some of those, or, investing in some of those types of stocks, bonds, and funds, mutual funds, ETFs, index funds, all those things. Okay. And then last, but probably not even last, this maybe should be number 2. I just wrote them down and I have it as last, but it shouldn't be last. And that is to have an emergency fund. So have 6 months or more, if possible, 6 months of expenses in cash that can be, a lifesaver for you if something were to happen. So, having an emergency fund is not only good if you were to lose a job, but it's also good if you suddenly lose part of your retirement and you're going to retire in a couple years, right? Having that emergency fund, perhaps you can move the money over or just keep it in a high yield mutual fund at that, or mutual high yield savings account is what I'm trying to say. And that way you can use that money in 2 years when you retire or whatever. Now, if you have 10 or more years, invest it into the market instead of holding on to it in cash. Keep your emergency fund cash, but invest anything extra into long-term investment plans, okay? And, the big thing is don't panic. The idea is on the news that everyone's panicking and everyone's going to die for sure, and you got to sell everything and everyone's going to be broke and we're all going to be homeless living on the corner. And that's just not the truth. It's just not. Some people are going to lose big and some people aren't going to lose at all, and others are actually going to win. Set yourself up for the win. Buy stocks when they're low. Sell stocks when they're high. Basically, don't do anything else. Don't go jumping in and out of stocks and mutual funds and all the things just because some newscaster says so. Okay? Is that a promise? Don't jump in and out of stuff when it's your investment account and it's for your future, for your retirement. Don't move that money. Leave that money alone. Okay? I'm not your financial advisor. Go find yourself one on RamseySolutions.com. Or if you have a financial advisor, speak with them about what's going to be your best plan to make it through the tough times that we're going to have. Okay? So remember, if you would, to invest in yourself today so you can make a difference for others tomorrow. And then if you would, give me a big thumbs up. Leave a comment down below. Be sure to subscribe. When you subscribe, you should hit the bell so you know when the next video comes out. I thank you so much for stopping by today. Go ahead and have a good one.